Yo,
I've been sitting here waiting while you're busy
I
taking
know 'cause
photographs
you
of
were
your
super
parking lot.
excited. You were like super excited for today, so I had to be prepared. So something's up. So I got to put my stand up. I'm in my Veridesk. I got to raise it high. I had to get it drip. I'm like, uh-oh. Steve's fired up. So I'll just get myself
I
prepared.
lost my bottle of water. I don't know where my bottle of water is.
I found my Cosmo. So see the picture I sent you?
What?
See the picture I sent you? I texted you.
Yeah, I did. I was like, I'm sitting here waiting on the fucking phone for a meeting, and this guy's taking photographs and texting.
You're talking all that shit. I got nervous with your team and shit. You know what I'm saying? I thought you were going to put me, so let's get it on. That's why I said let's do it this way. I think we'll have some fun. Good morning. I'm Victor Arroyo, producing live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale. And today we got my co-host and angel investor, entrepreneur, my mentor since I was young, Steve Running, owner of Deidre Moray. Steve, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Victor. Doing well.
Awesome. You had an opening that you wanted to start off with, so let's hit it.
Well, you had sent me a text suggesting that I asked some of the guys on my floor what would be a good subject to talk about, and they suggested rapport building and the difference between the way we built rapport in the old days, in my days, in your days, and the way millennials forward develop rapport now. And I kind of was laughing at him. I said, the only thing you guys have rapport with is 6 inches in your hand, okay? And I'm not talking about their dicks, I'm talking about their telephones. But
you were talking
anyway,
about what?
I did.
Telephones?
Yeah.
Making sure we clarify.
Yeah, they're smartphones.
I wasn't thinking about telephones, but I appreciate that you defined it.
But anyway, so, in my day, in your day, a friend was somebody that you knew if they were behind you and your back was up to theirs and you were in a bar fight, you didn't have to keep looking back because they were taking care of that side while you took care of your side. Today, these guys would fucking get their asses whipped so bad it'd be funny.
Steve, you used to yell out.
They don't know what a friend is.
Steve, you know how you said that when you go back to back, we also tell our guys, we used to tell them to remember to duck because I don't want to hit you in the back of the head. Right? So don't duck, right? You know what I mean? You got your side, I got mine. Everybody has their role. We could take on a lot more that way.
Exactly. So that's not how they function
I thought
today.
it was good. You brought something that reminded me of what we experienced, right? So go ahead.
Yeah. So when somebody tells me, "Oh, I got 1,000 or 1,200 friends on Facebook," I say, "You don't know what a fucking friend is, obviously." But in today's world, that's what they consider friends. Okay. So anyway, when I talk to them about, look, people like to buy from their friends, so you have to go out into the market and you have to network and you have to build friends. They're like, well, I can do that on the internet, and no, you can't. The person who's going to trust you, and vouch for you, and go to their purchasing agent or go to their whatever bureaucrat and get you into the bureaucracy in which they're entrenched. They're only going to do that for people that they trust and that they know and they feel indebted to. They feel a sense of reciprocity. So, this doesn't apply to all products because let's remember, in the old days, salesmen were arbitrage artists, okay? I mean, there was a wholesale and there was a retailer, and there was a lot of information lost in between. Nowadays, okay, you don't even need salesmen for lots and lots of products because they're commodities, and you can go on the internet and find everything you need to know to compare products and know the difference. And what do you need a person in between for? So yeah, there are lots and lots of products that don't need salespeople. And look, there are lots of companies who haven't figured out that there's no more arbitrage, so it's time to get rid of your salespeople. I mean, there's some companies don't need salespeople. You just need a good robot. You just need a good website that will say damn product. All right, but there's also lots of products where service, knowledge, customization, okay, helping with the choice is important. And in that case, all right, people want to buy from people that they trust or they like. And if you're still selling those kinds of products, if you're in that kind of market, then your salespeople, if they're not able to build rapport out in the marketplace, then they're not going to sell. I mean, they might, you know, like the proverbial blind squirrel, find a nut once in a while, but the big sales are going to the network. And so we talk about that a lot here because our sales our transactions, some of them take a very long time, and some of our sales are decent size. Some are residual, some businesses repetitive, other businesses less repetitive. So that's just what I thought we might start off with and talk about.
I think that's great. We can spin off later on interesting things you brought up, like friends on Facebook and so forth. So let me ask you a question. So what's the old school method? Give me like one tactic. Let's not get into a bunch, and let's go do a few tactics. What do you feel were the old school tactics of relationship building?
Well, one of the things is that you participated in some of the support activities outside of the sales process. So that may mean that you participated in committees of associations that were product related. Let's say your product was, I don't know, let's say your product was pumps for dams. Okay, well then you belong to the Dam Engineer Association, and you sat on the committees, and you participated outside of the product line, and you met people at the meetings, and you became friends with people so that they trusted you. Here, for example, we have a target market that involves corrosion and deterioration engineering related to refineries and gas pipelines and that kind of stuff. And we regularly take the key players on two different sides, one on the supplier side and one on the buyer side, and we take them out to dinners during the trade shows, and we on one side we'll put the people from Sunoco and Phillips 66 and some of the other oil companies, and on the other side we'll put our contractor clients, and they interface and they start doing business together. They meet each other, and consequently they owe us on both sides, and so they'll vouch for us when they have a problem that's in the channel that we solve. They will vouch for us to their purchasing bureaucracy, whatever it is. And getting that vouch is important. I mean, we have a gigantic global pharmaceutical company that's a client, and we work with one specific department outside of the bureaucracy. As a matter of fact, the bureaucracy just says, just let us know when you're working on a project. We let them know, and we do it our way, outside of their bureaucracy, because so many of the decision makers within the area that we were solving problems said, these are the guys, these are the experts in our area, this is who we want to work for us. And when the bureaucracy said, this is how you have to work with us, we said, we don't want your business. We will not work that way. It doesn't work for us, so goodbye, we don't want your business. How can you not want our business? We're the biggest, the best. We said, we don't need it. We'll go with the next biggest and best. All right, we just don't want your business. They finally turned around and came to us and said, look, we want you to work on our stuff because the people inside here are telling us that you're the best, and they know you and they trust you. So that's a couple $1 million in business that we've gotten from them, based on rapport. Now, these are my old time guys that are landing these kinds of projects in this kind of business. The millennials aren't landing this kind of business. They wouldn't know. They don't know how to build relationships the same way as we learned coming up.
You gave me the old school, right? That's the old school.
Yep.
So let me give you my comment on that, okay?
Yeah.
So look, I wrote a few things down. So the old school way, you mentioned about, being part of committees, being involved, being in the chambers, the YEOs, or what you started in New Jersey. That's what you're talking about, correct?
Yeah, or an engineering association,
But
or
being a member,
there's
going
different
out
kinds
to
of
events.
associations related to different products.
You're right, but going out to events, right?
Yeah,
Okay, going out to
that's
so,
one
so,
way.
so
Heck, you
let me
might.
tell you, let me tell
One
you
thing
what
might be
happens.
that it doesn't have.
Hold on.
No, it doesn't have to be events. No,
Okay,
absolutely not. You
what
could
is it?
start the
You're
central.
involved. Whatever it is, you have to go. I'm not saying an event. I'm saying you
No,
have to go.
I didn't say that. I'm sorry. Let me correct you. You misunderstood me.
Okay.
Because you don't have to go. Because you can start the most popular blog or web page or resource
No,
page
I'm going
in
back
your
to old school.
category.
I understand that. Go to old school, though. You said that old school used to go out.
That is old school. That is old school. It's a different medium, but it's old school.
I know, but
Okay.
you're
The
doing it
guys.
on you're doing it on a blog, though, right? So that's new
Who
school.
cares? That's old school. That's just a different medium. It's just using a tool. Okay.
What was the old school
But
with the
but
blog?
you're no. The old school is owning the platform. The new school is participating on somebody else's platform. Okay, you see, that's the difference, and that's what they don't understand about the technology. Okay, when you're doing stuff on Facebook, you don't own your prospects. Facebook owns your prospects. Okay, when you do it on your blog, then you own the prospects. Okay, and there's a big difference, and that's because these people don't even understand the technology they use, because they're so plug and play, they're so shallow. Okay, in their understanding of the environment in which they participate.
I disagree with that. I just think they got to be taught.
I'm sure you do.
They got to be taught because I can do both. I did it. Look, I can tell you the old school. Okay, the old school way was you had to be involved. I agree with you 1,000%. That's what's gonna. But what's different today is this business development. They need to go to networking meetings. It depends on what your target is and whether your prospecting involves more business development and going out there and meeting people, being involved. I was involved at a chamber at a young age. You've taught me that. Why? And then I seen people complain about it. Well, if you're not part of the committee, you're not involved. Today, they're just don't doing it. They're just not doing it. Like, I talk to attorneys and they're like, these young guys are not going out and making their own business. So
they don't have anybody that trusts them.
Better, right? We're trying to take. I think they need to know the difference between being able to take the old school and apply it to the technology. Because I can tell you where it's worked. Go ahead.
The key is to have trust and reciprocity. All right, and there are certain things that build trust and reciprocity, and there's certain things that don't. You can be involved. I always think that face-to-face contact builds rapport because we're still primal animals, but you can do it through technology, through a platform. If you're interfacing very specifically with very small groups of people, right? You can't network. I can't remember the number, but it's somewhere around 200. And there's some very famous. I wish I could remember that. I want to say the Gore number, but I might have that wrong. But there is a specific number. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies won't let divisions get larger than around 200 because pretty much once you get beyond the network of 200 people, it's beyond a capacity of building rapport. Okay, and I wish I'm trying to look it up right now.
Just answer that while we're going, right? So
yeah,
look,
okay.
While you're looking, hold on. Face to face, hands down. I don't care. Old school, new school, future school is by far the best way to develop a relationship. I'm 1,000% with you. But because it's like saying, the airplane revolutionized business, right? Video conferencing is so inexpensive today that it's also giving you a chance to globally train, network all around. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying which one's right or wrong. I think they're both right. We haven't come to something that's a different piece, right? And I love your statement of, I've heard 400, I heard 200, whatever, but you're right. Keeping a small network of people makes more sense. That's why you laugh at 2,000 friends on Facebook.
Yeah, you just can't build a number. You can't build relationships with that many people where you actually have trust and rapport.
No, I think that's great. I think that's a zoned in target. So like today, my ability to continue maintaining my relationships with mentors and my prospects, because, there is one focus. I'm just a little different, right? I'm more the I, you're a big D, right? So I'm an influencer. I like people, but what's helped me out is keeping the separation of networking and building rapport, and some that are really good friends. So I'm just calling as friends, family, connections. And what's helped me was taking my old school planner that took me forever to get, to walk away from, and applying the principles in a CRM for me. So it reminded me to stay in touch and just keep in touch. And people have made a comment that, I don't take offense if they've taken a long time to call me. I still follow up. It's not personal, right? I mean, it's not business. It's personal in this case. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm calling just to say hello. Boom, right? There's business relationships out of it, but sometimes it doesn't. But it doesn't matter. I stay faithful to that. So that's where the new school has helped me, but brought back what I learned from old school. Just do the same principles, but I can reach a larger group.
Well, this is again, okay. So let's understand something, okay. Depending on the product and how much arbitrage there is in this product, okay, where the value added is related to the knowledge of the person that's brokering the product. Okay, if we start getting more towards commodity, okay, well then the arbitrage doesn't count and the relationship isn't necessary. Just having a methodical, rapid system to inform the buyer so that they can make a rapid decision.
Yeah. Let's say on big boy stuff. Let's not.
Okay. All right.
We'll talk about that.
Well, if it's big boy stuff, then you're not going to want a giant group. I mean, you might start with a giant group. You have to start with a large. I do this lecture called the Docs lecture. Okay, you start with a target as narrowly you can guesstimate it, but you have a lot of prospects, but not a lot of information, and then you start contacting them so that you can qualify. You can find out which are the people that are closable or appropriate for presentation and which aren't, and you start to go past your guesstimate and start narrowing it down to your true prospects, and then you build your rapport with your true prospects, which I'm going to suggest to you in an arbitrage situation that's not going to be more than 200 people. You get past 200, you don't have an ideal size. That means you still have too many non-qualified prospects.
And everything you're saying is on point. Is to me that I understand because I went through it with you, right? I mean,
yeah.
Back in old school, and I can talk about old school, that's why I feel good being in between, and I like technology, right? So I'm able to bring them both. Sometimes it's more difficult because if you have a CEO owner that's not going to adapt to it and they're making money, then it's not my client.
You use this word technology, and I got a problem with this word technology because it's a bunch of bullshit.
Steve, hold on one second. Okay, but hold on 1 second. Okay, back then we used to make copies of research. I used to go rip out yellow paper.
Yeah, and those copies were called technology. That was high technology.
As
a matter of fact, at one time, clay tablets.
Right,
clay tablets were high technology.
Hold on, we used it, Steve. Right, we used we used what we had available to us, and it kept just migrating. And that's all.
The tools, the technology is just a tool. Does not change the fundamentals.
No, I agree. But the tools zone in better on the fundamentals. But you always have to have fundamentals. You're just consistently using laser stuff, right? Like, everything we've seen in the past with Star Trek, we ended up having flip phones. So, yes, I agree. Your fundamentals are on point. I think the difference has been old school was features and benefits, which is more consultative now because you have such a lot more intelligent buyer. But everything you're saying, we can keep talking about the fundamentals. I just want to be able to apply them.
They're not more intelligent. As a matter of fact, they're less intelligent. They're just not as ignorant. That's why the arbitrage has been eliminated.
Who?
Okay,
Who?
it's not the intelligence. It's the amount of knowledge that they have.
Who's
There's the arbitrage is based on the fact that somebody has people are missing information, and because we're in a time when information is being very available on everything very rapidly, okay, it eliminates the advantage to one method of selling in the past, which was to have more knowledge than the buyer had, and therefore you could give them because you had information they didn't have. Okay, you had leverage over the process. You could actually they could bank on your knowledge to help them make a better decision. That's been eliminated in a lot of cases in a lot of products, right? And so in those cases, okay, where there is no arbitrage, okay, where you're not going to bring any new knowledge. Let's think about it. What does a salesperson do? They bring knowledge to the process that somebody doesn't have. If it wasn't for that knowledge, who needs a salesman? I don't need a salesman to go buy a great banana at the grocery store, do I? I know what a great banana. I could look at a banana and know which one's good or not. That's why there's no salespeople in your grocery store. Okay, but okay, if I need information on something, all right, if I need them to explain to me why this is a solution to a problem, all right, because I'm ignorant of my choices and of what the features and benefits are, at that point, if I can't get that through whatever my information source is, well then you need a salesperson to sell the product. Thankfully, these new college grads don't know anything, which means that the companies are full of a bunch of people that don't know squat, which means there's going to be a whole new opportunity for people to arbitrage. Okay, which means there's going to be lots of opportunity for salespeople, because you talk to some of these bureaucrats in these companies, they have no fucking idea what their companies do, and they're buying products that they have no fucking idea what problem the product solves, and that means there's a lot of ignorance and lack of institutional knowledge in the decision-making process, which means salespeople are going to become more valuable than they've been for a while.
Okay, stop. Hold on right there. I want to ask you a question then.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you two before you answer. Let me just ask them, and then I'll repeat. Okay. Number one, Why is it a great thing that they're all coming out of college not knowing anything, right? Particularly in sales. Number one, and then two, there's about 11 universities. I'm going to do a shout out to Stetson University. It has a Centurion sales program. You're going to get an AA and a BA. And then one of the top schools is Baylor University. Excellent sales program. There's only 11 schools that have a professional degree in professional selling. No different than how they now have also degrees prior to that on entrepreneurship. Okay. So my question is, let's forget about entrepreneurship. One, why is it a good thing? And then two, what are your thoughts on taking someone from or hiring someone from that school?
Well, I don't know, because I'm not familiar with the product that they're producing, so I can't make a comment on that. But I can make a comment on some of the product that comes out of the school system, and especially the schools that teach entrepreneurship. There are some schools that teach entrepreneurship that, for many reasons, they're producing good product, but other ones that aren't producing such a good product, because entrepreneurship is about invention. It's not about a process, okay? And unless you have a passion to really iterate about something, you're not going to invent something new. And if you're not going to invent something new, then you're no longer an entrepreneur. Now, you might be a bureaucrat or a investor or a manager, just like managers have been around since since the I want to say Sloan. Okay, since General Motors invented the organization man. Okay, but you're still the same thing. You could slap entrepreneur on your car. It doesn't make you an entrepreneur. Okay, because if you're just burning through people's money hoping to make something work, okay, then you're just a lottery player. All right. So I don't know what gets produced by a lot of these schools. I've met people calling themselves entrepreneurs, and I say, well, then what is it that what innovation are you bringing to market?
I didn't want to take us off on there. I just wanted to say, why were you so excited?
I tell you, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what the schools produce. I'm just I can just tell you what needs to be produced. Okay, to be a good salesperson, and I can tell you it varies depending on the kind of product and the kind of sales situation.
I agree.
That you're in, and the context of the market for the product. Okay, it has to do with how many people. Go ahead.
Open to look at resumes. If I put you in contact with one of the professors, just to look at them, and if they're interested, they're not, and you can determine from there.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I have the professor that heads up the Centurion Sales Program at Stetson University, which is a private college, right? Would you be one of the? Would you allow your company to want to look at students that graduate in those degrees, in the degree of professional selling?
Yeah, I mean, we would look at. I don't know that would make them any better salespeople than somebody coming out of Rutgers. I don't know. I have no idea. Right. They might even be worse because they might think they know everything because they're $80,000 in debt and they got a certificate that says they're a sales expert, and then they get out here and you discover they don't know what they don't know and they're worse. I'd rather get somebody with an associate's degree in biology and then teach them how to sell if they've got the 5 keys to being a great salesperson. You don't need education.
But time out. You
need certain intrinsic ability.
You admit you didn't want to make a statement regarding it because you haven't had any experience. All I'm saying to you is you can't make that assumption if you haven't tested it either. Because I wish I had more sales courses and I learned way more afterwards than I did in college. So all I'm saying is I appreciate that you couldn't comment earlier, but you also can't make the definitive statement that they're going to be worse. You just don't. We haven't measured it yet, and you may be right.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Not be wrong. You may be in between. So please, it should be fair to these schools. I don't want to dog out these schools until they're accountable to produce. I agree. I had a talk with a dean of college that was saying that parents would rather send their kids to school for a marketing degree, a business administration degree, a business administration degree than a sales degree. Yet, statistics show 50% of graduates, and these are undergrads, graduates' first job is in sales. And then 60% leave the position in a year. So they're in debt for 4 years. A company spent their money on training in a year. So in 5 years, they're out of the same position they got recruited for.
Yeah.
But Enterprise is one of the top recruiters of college graduates. But they also have a tremendous turnover. They weed them out.
Does Enterprise use salespeople?
Yeah. The thing is, what they do is you're in sales because you have to grow their locations with more rentals. But they teach you like a P&L operations. They do their training is phenomenal. I'd always bring someone in from Enterprise.
Yeah, I don't doubt that Enterprise is a great training ground to learn the basics of business. I don't know about sales. I mean, what are you selling?
You're selling.
By the time somebody walks to the door at Enterprise, they're there to rent a car. They know it, and they know what car they want, and they're buying. And they came into Enterprise either because of trust in the brand, or because they saw a cheap deal on the internet, and that's why they. I mean, car rental stuff.
I was in that. Steve, hold on. I was in that business when they started. So remember, I'm still old school. I'm not the kid, right? When they started, they were nothing. What happens is they started in the business Their very first business was called insurance replacement. So what happened was they were going to insurance companies and claims because we were competing against them. Where their sales came, you wanted to get the referral when someone was in an accident and needed to rent a car, and all the companies that were in insurance replacement rented cars for about just as amount that their policy allowed.
Yeah, so they developed a great sales system that involved building a relationship
exactly
with the insurance.
Then they diversified because they were the first ones that promoted really well their marketing on how they pick up and deliver. That over time built them into, now you can just rent directly. Then it built them to selling cars. Then it built them to renting like bigger vehicles. All I'm saying to you, the sales part of it came out. A lot of it came out because you had to, the way you rose in the company was how you increased how many cars you rented from a particular location. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you weren't an order taker. You had to do all your service, clean car, in a tie, work on Saturdays. You were a college graduate. You had to deliver cars, pick them up. It doesn't seem like they do that as much for regular rentals because they also were so smart. They put a person inside insurance companies. So then, so today, now I don't know where they're selling or if it's just marketing, but they're working long hours and they get promoted by building more rentals. The only way you can get more rentals is by referrals. So either insurance agents, claims adjusters that I knew of back in old school. New school, I have no idea how they're doing. So we're still going back to why are you so excited that all these kids?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense to me.
You also said that sales is going to be it's going to explode because of the millenniums and people not wanting to know things or thinking that technology do it for themselves.
Yeah, because we're getting to a point where the bureaucracies, the channel to get in and sell products, it is deteriorating. Such that the person at the end, the engineer that has to use the product, or the production manufacturers that have to use the product, or whoever it is has to use the product, who's at the end of that bureaucratic point, that channel coming in, isn't getting what he needs. So therefore he wants to go back to the source, or go back to someone who has access to the source, who knows what they're talking about. And so I think that you're going to see the specialist, the sales specialist in different kinds of target products become more valuable again, because there was a point where the early adopters of these new tools, these new communication tools that took a lot of the friction out of the communication process, they had an early adopter advantage, but they've lost that advantage, and now it's going to come back to who understands what the problem is and who can identify the best solution. And you go back to your enterprise salespeople, or really, I think that's more of a marketing function if they're doing a strategy. But if they're out there talking, if your branch manager's out there talking to local sales agents, and he's really actually doing hands-on sales. And I don't know if enterprise still does that, but if they still do that, he's getting out there and he's getting those agents to trust him, and for some reason he's letting them know why they're better off sending their people to him than they are to send them to Hertz or Avis.
I want to add one more piece from the claims adjuster, where think about it, there's an insurance agent and then there's the insurance company. The insurance company gets a lot more claims. One insurance company has 1,000 agents compared to one agent getting claims.
Well, I would think that you'd have to figure out what would be the motivation, okay, for someone to send their claims person, okay, to you rather than to the other guy. Now, it could be many things. It could be because you take them out to dinner every Friday. It could be because you give them a little gift on the side. It could be because your cars are nicer and the people, when they come back from your product, they're happier. and therefore they keep buying insurance from this agent. But then I got to figure, well, then they got to keep crashing cars to keep enjoying that benefit. So that probably isn't a good one. I don't know. There's got to be some reason, all right, for the person at whoever is doing the claims and making the referral to the rental company. There has to be some reason for them to do that. I would think, though, if I had a big bureaucratic company and I want to be getting the best deal, that I would set up some kind of system so that my the person giving out the names or sending the person off to the rental car company isn't in a situation where they could be getting kicked back some of that money that I'm having to pay out as claim money. So I would probably put a check and balance in there for that. So I don't know how you could get. I guess you would have to go up the ranks to a higher level.
Steve, no, you wouldn't. It was Mad Men. Don't tell me that. Remember Mad Men?
Well, that's at that time. At that time, that's the way business was done. The business is not done that way today.
Right.
Bureaucracies that have checks and balances.
You can't do it because there's better checks and balances because the systems are better, and that's why. I'm not saying that's what we did. All I'm saying to you, old school versus new school, things have changed and they haven't changed. They're still old school technique. I hate the saying when they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? They say that, okay, there's some reality to that. But then sometimes it takes us, an old school dog, to teach you a new trick.
Well, sometimes I see new tricks that are just repeats of old things that we learned didn't work. And it's just going to take them a while to figure out that we've done that before.
That ain't a new trick then. That's a new failure.
No, most of the shit they're coming out with is not new tricks. It's just repeats of old things.
Yeah, but you said it don't work. Of old things that don't work.
Yeah, well, they'll figure it out. They're going to find out real soon.
Right.
They're bringing that whole socialism thing back.
So it ain't a trick. It's not a trick then. It's not a trick. A trick wins.
Look, AOC doesn't know what the Soviet Union was. She never heard of the Soviet Union. Okay, but if she had, then she'd know, okay, that the thing didn't fucking work.
Yeah, but then watch the movie Miracle.
I don't know what, I don't, that's not,
it's the
I know Miracle on 34th Street.
No, the 1980, it's my non-sports intelligent brother.
Are we talking hockey?
Yeah, it's the 1980 U.S. hockey team that beat the Soviet Union, and they
were man, fucking. Sometimes the stars align and you're lucky. Yeah.
There was no luck. The guy had the formula. He had a process. Watch the movie. He changed the game.
Oh, look at that process.
In other words, Steve.
That's why sometimes it's not about the salesperson. Sometimes it's just have a good sales process.
No, it's always about the sales process. It ain't about the salesperson, right? You want to build an army. You want, if someone leaves, goodbye, boom, fill up the next one.
Fill the spot. Yep, exactly. There you go.
I'm confused. How do you think I'm on a different side? What, you tell everybody you taught me, and then at the end of the day, you could barely call in. That's old school. So don't give me crap. So at the end of the day, anyhow, that's it. I just think that, like, there's a combination, right? There's some guys. I think it's all about the person who doesn't want to change. I don't want to go off on this, but at the end of the day, old school versus new school is really trying to understand the blend on what works. I was never one of those guys that felt people should learn from a mistake that your boss already knows, right? They should really continue to stretch themselves and to learn new mistakes that your boss hasn't figured out yet. And you got. I
think new school is work as little as possible and then blame the environment on your failure. That's new school.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm saying to you that what should happen is that person should, the leader should be responsible for making sure there's a blend and not waste time by by letting their team go through the same failure they already did. I thought that's not my style. I rather scale it, put a process system, keep figuring that out in place, and then I expect them to break it.
Look, it's think of it this way: if you have a great team but a terrible strategy, you're going to lose. If you have a great strategy but a terrible team tactically, you're going to lose. You have to have a great strategy, and you have to have a great team, and you also have to have great tools. Okay, I'll remind you of J. Edwards Deming. Oh man,
I read that book. They know I'm an old guy when I tell them.
Yeah.
When I tell a CEO,
W. Edwards Deming. W. Edwards Deming. Yep.
Right. When it's I think it's John Deming. John W. Edwards.
W. Edwards Deming.
It's Edward Deming, right? So when I tell a CEO that's more senior, and we talk a little bit, and I talk about Deming, and they start laughing. It's like they rarely have heard someone else talk about it like he did. So I just want to make that comment. And then what I'd like to do is, once you finish real quick, tell us about success stories of following process and fundamentals.
You know, your volume is not right. I can barely hear you.
I'm sorry. How about now?
No, it's still low. Is it? Maybe it's me. Hold on.
Maybe it's you.
It could be. Are you there?
Yeah, don't mind. So tell us if you.
Hello? There you go. Yeah. Okay.
I'm here.
I think it's my headset got screwed up. I will tell you this. All right. The people function by habit from day to day. If you set a target for, hey, our goal is 6 months from now, which is fine, but if you set that target and you don't break the plan up into daily measurable activities, then you're bound to fail. Okay? If you can, at the end of every day, and perhaps at the end of every half day, say we succeeded or we didn't succeed, we reached a mini goal, or we succeeded in a step, then you can't manage the process. And so consequently, you need to break things up into very small pieces, and you need to measure them constantly. I don't mean weekly. I don't mean monthly. I mean hourly, half day, and daily. Daily being the absolute biggest segment. Right? And if you don't have a system broken down into smaller pieces that you can measure it daily, then you don't have a world-class system. All right? And no matter what sales process you have, if you get your system down to where you can measure at the end of each day and say we had a great day, or we had a mediocre day, or we had a terrible day, all right, until you get to that point, all right, you're not ready to be world-class. Yeah, I do have parting words. For those of you who think that storytelling on a high-resolution screen, okay,
are you making fun of me?
Is new. I'm going to tell you something. Okay. In the medieval ages, people used to go from town to town and do skits on stages. You don't get any more high resolution than real life, right? So it's not new fucking school. It's just you're using a different kind of tool, and the tool has certain advantages and certain disadvantages, right? But it's not new. Storytelling's been around for a long time. Come up with something new. I dare anybody come up with something new. Then you're an entrepreneur. You take the friction out of the process. That's all. The key is to take the friction out of the process, but it's still the process. The result that you're trying to get is the same, provided you don't forget the objective, which is the fundamental.
I want to say thank you again.
You're welcome.
Steven Running, my buddy, my friend, my brother, and I always learn from you.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Be good.
You too.
All right.
Good job. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, buddies. Talk to you next Friday.